Have you ever had that moment in life when you look around and realize, okay, now it's on me. No more protection. No more trial phase. I'm either the solution or the problem? That's exactly the feeling surrounding Matthew Knies in this new chapter of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Here's the situation. After years of betting on the same core, with Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander as the central pieces of almost eternal hope, the Leafs finally pressed a button many thought was untouchable. Marner is gone. More precisely, he left Toronto for the bright lights of the Vegas Golden Knights. And the immediate question that followed was, so now what? Who's going to fill that void? Enter Matthew Knies, a 22-year-old kid born in Phoenix, Arizona, land of sunshine, golf, and dry heat, who plays like he was raised in a Canadian power forward factory. Strong, intense, straightforward, and now officially the new face of a project that is desperately trying to reinvent itself. And the reinvention isn't just about playing style. It's also emotional, tactical, symbolic. Marner's departure wasn't just a roster move. It marked the end of an era. And Knies, by all indications, is the first building block of a new foundation. NHL.com recently ranked him 8th among the league's top 10 forwards under 25. A ranking that isn't just a consolation prize. It's a stamp of approval. Being on a list that includes names like Tim Stutzel, Jack Hughes, Connor Bedard, Matt Boldy, and Macklin Celebrini means you're not there by accident. You're part of a generation that will set the pace for the NHL over the next 5 to 10 years. But maybe the most curious part of all this is the timing. Because at the exact moment Toronto decides to let go of one of its icons, Knies emerges as a natural answer, almost as if the transition had been scripted. And in a way, it was the 2024-25 season left no doubts that he was ready. He scored 29 goals in 78 games with an impressive 19.1% shooting percentage, the best on the team. Of those, 24 goals came at 5 on 5, showing he doesn't depend on the power play or favorable context to deliver. He delivers because he plays heavy, plays hungry, plays in a low cycle. And that style, and a team that has always prioritized finesse over physicality, is refreshing. It's a rupture. With Marner's exit, the Leafs' top 6 at space, both literally and metaphorically. And Knies wasted no time filling that spot. On the ice, he became a reference point for quick transitions, net front presence, and defensive awareness. Off the ice, he was mentioned by veterans as a work ethic example. When asked about the difference between rookie Knies and last season's Knies, Austin Matthews said in an interview, now he sets the pace. He doesn't wait for the game to happen. He makes the game happen. That didn't go unnoticed. On July 1st, the Leafs signed Knies to a 6-year extension worth $46.5 million. About $7.75 million per season. To some, it's a risky number for a young player with only one full season. To others, a smart and necessary investment. Compared to other elite young players, like Wyatt Johnston in Dallas, Jack Hughes in New Jersey, or Matt Boldy in Minnesota, the value fits the current NHL logic, which increasingly bets on long-view contracts, anticipating a player's peak to secure a better cost-benefit. The real question, though, goes beyond numbers. What Knies truly represents is a shift in roster-building philosophy. While Marner was the artist, Knies is the luxury workhorse. While Marner dazzled with vision and assists, Knies disturbs with physical presence and ugly goals. The rebound types, the ones earned in net front battles, through sheer persistence. And if you ask any Leafs fan what the team has lacked in recent years, they'll probably tell you exactly that. A player who doesn't give up on plays, who embraces the grind, who plays like every shift is his last. Matthew Knies was born in the United States, but raised in a Slovak home. His parents came from Central Europe in search of opportunity, stability, and of course, a better future for their children. And even while growing up in the heat of Arizona, where hockey was almost an eccentricity, Knies fell in love with the sport early. He watched the Coyotes live, idolized Shane Doan, and dreamed of the NHL even when the other kids were into baseball. Later, he moved to Minnesota, a true hotbed for college talent, and played for the University of Minnesota, where he built a near-mythical reputation. There's a story that circulates behind the scenes. During practice, he once refused to take off his skates even after a deep cut to his ankle. Practice is practice. Pain is optional, he reportedly told the coach. That kind of attitude can't be taught. It's something you carry. In the NHL, it didn't take long for that old-school style to gain admirers. Analysts like Kevin Weeks and Elliot Friedman highlighted Knies' impact in podcasts and broadcasts. He has the kind of game that ages well, said Weeks. Friedman pointed out that in a league increasingly based on speed and possession, Knies represents a return to an era of contact, net front presence, and physical dominance, without sacrificing skill. And maybe what excites Leafs fans the most isn't just his talent, but the fit. With Marner gone and Nylander returning to the opposite wing on the top line, Knies has everything it takes to be Austin Matthews' ideal partner. While Matthews draws defenders with movement and mid-range shots, Knies can be the net front force, the guy battling defensemen, protecting the puck, and cleaning up rebounds. That kind of synergy is rare. And Toronto, which is so often err on the side of skill without grit, finally seems to have found balance. Of course, none of this means a mission will be easy. The East is still brutal. The Rangers are strong. The Panthers have kept their core. The Hurricanes are always dangerous. And now the Golden Knights, with Marner on board, are also hungry for the Stanley Cup. But maybe it's precisely this external pressure that makes Knies even more necessary. He doesn't play for applause. He plays to win. If we're looking for comparisons, Knies is a rare mix. He has Tom Wilson's physicality, Brady Tkachuk's maturity, and possibly the leadership instinct that was missing from some of the Leafs' young stars in the past. He doesn't want to be a poster boy. He wants to lift the cup, and that changes everything. The summary is simple but powerful. The Leafs didn't just swap a player. They swapped their identity. They went from a lighter, almost poetic style to something heavier, more direct. And Knies is the symbol of that transition. Not just a replacement, but a clear sign that Toronto wants to change the narrative. They want to be feared, not just respected. For the 2025-26 season, expectations are high. Ideally, Knies will be locked into a permanent top-line role, with power play time, physical presence, and, hopefully, more than 30 goals. But more than that, fans want consistency. They want to know someone has their back when the ice gets hot. And so far, Knies has shown he doesn't hide. Now I want to hear from you. Will Matthew Knies really carry this level of impact throughout the entire season? Or will the weight of responsibility become a burden? Would you have signed that contract now? Or waited another year? And more. Does his physical style fit alongside Matthews and Nylander? Or is this new top line missing speed and creativity? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And while you're at it, build your ideal top six of the Leafs in this new era. Who would be the perfect winger on the other side? Would you bring in more physical reinforcements or let the current roster prove its potential? And of course, if you're a Leafs fan, you already know suffering is part of the deal, but at least now we have someone willing to suffer with us and literally fight for every inch of ice. If you like this analysis, leave a like, share it with your fellow hockey fanatics, and subscribe to the channel, because the next big update will have you celebrating. There are moments when a team reinvents itself. Quietly, it's not the metallic sound of a blockbuster trade, nor a hysterical press conference from a GM in flames. Sometimes, change comes as a whisper, discreet but definitive. In the case of the Toronto Maple Leafs, this transformation comes with three names: Dakota Joshua, Nicolas Roy, and Matias Maccelli. When Mitch Marner was sent to Vegas, the shock was immediate. After all, he wasn't just a skilled winger. He was one of the faces of the Matthews era. Marner was art in motion. His puck control, peripheral vision, and almost telepathic connection with Austin Matthews created moments that felt choreographed. But there was also a price: the emotional and tactical dependency the team built around him. And over time, that became a cage. With Marner's departure, many expected an explosive response. Another star, a blockbuster signing. Maybe even a move born of desperation. But Brad, trail-living to the exact opposite. Instead of looking for a direct replacement, he redrew the team's identity. The arrival of Dakota Joshua, for instance, flew under the radar of national media. But the former Canuck represents everything Toronto has always lacked. Physical presence without recklessness, defensive intelligence, and a workmanlike energy that doesn't vanish in the playoffs. Joshua is that kind of player you don't fully appreciate until you need him. And the Leafs, historically, have always needed someone like him. Nicolas Roy, on the other hand, arrives as a chess piece. Versatile, underrated, and cerebral, Roy has a rare ability to play on any line without disrupting rhythm. In Vegas, he was an essential part of a championship team that prided itself more on collective strength than individual names. He knows what it means to sacrifice the spotlight for the good of the whole, a lesson Toronto is still learning. Then there's Matias Maccelli. Young, skilled, and with a sky-high ceiling, Maccelli is Marner's symbolic opposite. Where Mitch is polished spectacle, Matias is raw potential. His arrival doesn't close a cycle. It opens a new one. The finish forward with Estonian roots sees the game in layers, anticipates space, and has a patience with the puck that evokes veterans. If properly developed, he could be the bridge between what Toronto was and what it can still become. But make no mistake, this new trio didn't come just to fill holes. They form a backbone of a new identity. A Toronto that's less vain, more collective, less dependent on individual brilliance, more focused on 5-on-5 efficiency. This is no coincidence. This is a plan. The 2025 offseason wasn't just about trades. It was about a change in posture. Trey Living and his coaching staff understood that talent alone isn't enough. That Matthews window won't wait another 5 years. And that, to win in April, you need more tactical commitment than Sports Illustrated covers. In that context, Dakota Joshua becomes even more valuable. His time with the Canucks showed steady progress, both statistically and in terms of composure under pressure. He's the kind of player who doesn't lead the league in points, but leads the locker room in attitude. He's physical without being reckless. He's intense without being out of control. And his ability to punish opponents on the forecheck has already become a trademark. With Roy, the bet is on fluidity. A center who can also play wing, take important face-offs, and deliver quality minutes on the penalty kill. His average ice time has grown over the past 2 seasons, and his hockey IQ is praised by coaches as much as his work ethic is respected by teammates. He's the kind of player who transforms the system, not by being spectacular, but by being reliable. And Maccelli? Well, he's still a mystery, which makes things even more intriguing. At 23, he's already shown flashes of brilliance in Arizona, especially on the power play. But what stands out the most is his demeanor off the ice. Maccelli is calm, focused, almost cold, as if he knows his moment is coming. In Toronto, surrounded by talent and structure, that potential could finally erupt. Of course, it's still early. Training camp has barely begun. The lines are still rough sketches, the chemistry hypothetical, but the feeling in Toronto is clear. This version of the Leafs is more battle-ready, maybe less romantic, but more efficient. The inevitable question is, can this secondary core support the stars? Matthews, Nylander, Knies, they all need backup. And that's the most fascinating part of this new configuration. It doesn't take away anyone's spotlight, it distributes it better. Joshua allows Knies to play more freely. Roy takes defensive matchup pressure off Matthews. And Maccelli brings a new release valve to the power play, opening space for Nylander to be even more lethal. This trio doesn't compete for attention. It repositions the focus. And there's also the emotional layer. Marner's departure left a void, not just technically, but emotionally. He was a homegrown talent, a local symbol. But like so many NHL stories, sometimes the ending is necessary for a new beginning to take shape. The new roster might not have the same instant charisma, but already shows signs of collective commitment Toronto has long needed to cultivate. On paper, it may look like a quiet rebuild, but in practice, it's more of a strategic correction. The Leafs didn't blow up their core, they recalibrated it. They're betting that with small, well-considered additions, it's possible to fix past mistakes without sacrificing the present. And if you look closely, you'll see that this shift comes from a place of humility. After so many heartbreaking eliminations, broken promises, and years of being the team that almost was, the Leafs finally seem to understand that talent isn't enough. You need chemistry. You need identity. You need to want to win more than you want to be seen. Dakota Joshua, Nicolas Roy, and Matias Maccelli aren't headlines. They're gears. And maybe that's exactly why they're what Toronto needed. Time will tell if this quiet change will be enough to break the curse. But for the first time in a long time, it feels like the Leafs are doing more than reacting. They are finally planning. And that, in itself, is already a step in the right direction.